This conference will now be recorded.
Y'all ready? Yeah. Jonathan? Good? Excellent. I'd like to call the Board of Supervisors to order. As always, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. Anybody have anything we need to add to the agenda this afternoon?
Just, Mr. Chairman, as we discussed, just do the presentation on item number 5.
Anybody else? What would you like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. As always, let's start with public comment.
I'm Annette Hyde. I live in Radiant. I'm the chair of the Madison County Democratic Committee and a former electoral board member in 2022. I'm speaking about the proposed sign ordinance. The registrar's office becomes a polling place 45 days before the officially recognized election day, so voters can vote in person early during its office hours. Just like a polling place on official election day, a voter comes into the office. The deputy registrar or the registrar asks for their ID for check-in. They're handed a ballot that corresponds with the precinct where they live. There are private booths where they can mark their ballot. Then they place their ballot in a voting machine in view of the registrar and the deputy registrar, just like on official election day. They can even pick up an I voted sticker on their way out. Early voting ends the Saturday before official election day. Traditionally, our committee has placed signs for our candidates on the administrative campus outside the 40-foot line as required by Virginia law. They go up before the office opens. They go down after the office closes. On Monday, November 7th, the day before the November 8th election last year, when I arrived to attend logic and accuracy testing for voting equipment as an electoral board member, I removed a Yesley Vega sign from in front of the registrar's office 48 hours after Saturday voting opened. I'm asking the county attorney to adjust the time for placing signs on the administrative campus to include Saturday early voting the weekend before official election day. If approved, the Madison County Democratic Committee will continue to be diligent about sign placement and removal.
Thank you. Other public comment? We're going to do 3 public hearings here, and with public comment on those as well. Anybody else? Anybody watching us? Nobody. Yep, there you go. All right, we're going to do this multiple more times. Consent agenda. We have minutes from 7/25/2023.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No special appearances. Let's get right to public hearings. Hannon, talk to us about the sign ordinance.
How about now?
Yep.
Yeah. So, as this board knows, the sign ordinance, the idea was to try and both allow for signage around election days without creating blight and interfering with mowing. So the idea in this is to create areas at polling places for 36 hours before to erect signs and advertise, and then 36 hours after. Key parts are just ensuring that it's content neutral, so it's not limited to political signs, it's any kind of sign, and that's in keeping with recent Supreme Court cases. That's the extent of it. I'm not sure if the registrar's office counts as a polling place. I don't believe it does. I think I looked into this, that it would not count as a polling place under this. If the board wants to revisit that, we can. I'm sure there's going to be more public comment on it, but that's the intent of this, is to allow political signs or any other signs around Election Day, but not on at polling places, but not on other county-owned property. Of course, this would not impact private property, and then VDOT covers right away.
Jonathan?
I just want to add, Mr. Wright has also been working in direct correlation with our electoral board, so I don't know if there's any feedback Mr. Wright wishes to choose from, or not wishes, has from those conversations, or Mr. Chairman, if the board wish to call on the electoral board members who may be present or a registrar to see if they have any comment.
Absolutely. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Weekly or Mr. Wright? All right. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that, we did speak with Mr. Smith and the electoral board. The one thing that was also discussed that I had mentioned is there's no particular fine schedule or penalties associated with this. I think the idea was, at this point, enforcement-wise, maybe it doesn't make sense just in terms of manpower, but it's something that we could revisit down the road if it's something that needs to have more teeth to it.
Please.
So before Hannon leave, Jim, I think you had a suggestion that would address, one of the public comment from Ms. Hyde was to use that the big bulletin board out there to put some.
Put a sample ballot.
Yeah.
So that folks could see who's running, what offices, and they would have information. Actually, I think it would be more conducive to making better choices if you had that versus having a scattering of signs, which I think most people just walk by and ignore. And I guess we'll have to talk to Ms. Eanes if that's,
Yeah.
she's got that in the plan.
Yeah, we always post the sample ballot out here front and back every election. We did talk about maybe making them bigger and seeing how big we could get it. It's typically just the same size as the ballot, but we always had that posted and then we had them for pickup in the office as well.
Any other comments, Ms. Eanes?
I don't think so. I am pretty sure, I'm looking right now, that there was an attorney general opinion that did state that the registrar's office is considered a polling place for 45 days of early voting. And I should be able to find that soon. But, I mean, we definitely looked into it as to whether it was violating anything or if signs had to be allowed, and they did.
Mr. Smith, aren't you the chair at this point? Who's the chair? Vice chair, all right. Any comments? questions, comments, thoughts? All right, open the public hearing. The public hearing is open. Anyone that would like to make public comments? Are they flowing online, Alan? Zero flowing. All right. Anybody? Back to the board. What would you all like to do here?
Well, I think one comment too, Mr. Chairman. If we pass this and it gets to be some problem, whatever facet of voting or free speech or logistics, we can revisit it.
Absolutely.
It's not set in stone.
Not at all. Yep. I do. I like the idea of putting that, and we're glad they put it out there. In large one, I agree with your comments. It would be kind of a more educated direction instead of just a bunch of colorful, trashy looking signs. Anybody else have comments on this? What would y'all like to do?
Let's see, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the amendment to Article 12, Section 12-6, permitted signs, adding the additional paragraph 15.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, next public hearing. RSA MOA. Mr. Wright, come on back up and talk to us.
So this would actually be an amendment to an existing MOA that was executed by this board back in May of 2021. We would extend, now that green is out of RSA, this would be really an agreement between us and Orange. This would be an amendment to essentially extend that for a 10-year period and then allow for a renewal period after that. My understanding is Orange is going to be likely approving this tonight, and then we're possibly mirroring that this evening. But the idea is, based on the, I'll say, turbulence with RSA recently, now that we're in the aftermath of that, it's to try to have some stability for Madison and also for Orange and RSA.
Mr. Wakely, any comments on this one?
I just want to thank all those involved, and I know board members have had involvement as well. My concern was the clock was already ticking on the pre-existing memorandum of agreement. This gives us a nice period to kind of reset new members. And Orange and Madison has demonstrated a good working relationship, so that is encouraging, and hopefully both bodies will pass this, and it gives us some room to really see how the future of RSA paves along, but without pushing us any crunch time on dealing with service authority issues.
I like this one. I mean, the ability is awful decent of Orange to work with us, and especially with our very, very small size. This kind of gives us a little bit of economies of scale and will continue the services that Madison expects from RSA. Once everybody kind of work in a positive direction. Other comments on this one? To the public. The public hearing is open on the RSA MOA. I thought we were going to get one there for a moment. All right, back to the board. What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the RSA memorandum of agreement that is presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, zoning fee amendment. We're actually lowering cost on things. Mr. Weekly?
I love that. That should be very appealing to the public. So normally, so zoning fees is what's recognized as one of your administrative fees. So if it's dog tags, building permit, rezoning, and so forth, there's a fee schedule. And normally that's adopted around your budget cycle every year. You did so, adopt your FY24 administrative fees during the budget cycle. What has come up since then was a case where you considered, whether it's an SUP in A1 or does it make sense to rezone. This piece of property was on Route 29. Ultimately, the applicant has chosen to rezone. And so our existing fee for rezoning is $2,000. And then if it's over 10 acres, there's an additional $100 per acre. It's a pretty sizable amount. The philosophy here, and I believe the same as the boards, is that, we're not really looking at it as a for-profit. We want to recoup any cost, but what would make a good fee schedule when it comes to rezoning? It may encourage folks to do the proper rezoning. The board doesn't normally take a position of, you must do this. But I think lowering the fee, staff feels like it would kind of go along with cases you may hear in the future. So currently it's $2,000. Staff is recommending $600. I do want to point out some members may like to see this be the same as the SUP, the special use permit fee. That's $500. The only reason why we added that additional $100, we do pay a fee for our contractor to maintain. So anytime there's a zoning layer change, we submit that once board approves to our contract, and they go in and do the GIS updating. So there's a cost there. So setting that at $600 is the reason for that fee. But it is a substantial decrease of the $2,000.
All right, comments from the board? I think this is the right direction to go to.
Yeah, I just think that, and we've got our costs covered, and it's going to encourage folks to do the right thing as opposed to the cheapest thing. So.
It's actually low, puts us lower than the town. I went by and checked on some RSA matters, and I think their rezone is currently $750. So,
Our admin costs. All right. To the public. To the public. No one's against this move? All right. Back to the board. Public hearing is closed. What would y'all like to do with this zoning fee amendment?
there is a resolution, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Turner has on the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2023-11.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We don't have any old business. We've got some unfortunate and positive new business. Dr. Brady, we're glad to see you back. We're sorry to lose you after 18 years. We're glad that you're coming under this auspice instead of the last time we saw you. But no, Noah, you have some things to say? Please.
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude for Dr. Brady's many years of service to Madison County. For close to 20 years, Dr. Brady's been our operational medical director and has played an integral role in making Madison EMS one of the most successful agencies in our area. His leadership has made a profound difference in the quality of care we provide daily. Dr. Brady has consistently demonstrated a commitment to excellence and a passion for improving patient outcomes, and he is respected and admired by his peers and colleagues. Without his guidance and vision, Madison County EMS would not be the agency it is today. We have a small token of appreciation for you, and just want to say thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Please, by all means.
Well, I'm a medical director in a couple other counties and with other departments, some of whom are easy to work with and some of whom aren't. I will say that Madison County is a very easy county to work with from the EMS perspective as well as the leadership. And it really, it takes a team. It takes the medical director and the EMS agency to do the right thing and provide the right care for people in the county. But it also requires support from the county leadership. And over the last many years, I've seen that support from all of you, and I've seen the professionalism and dedication from all of you. And it really does take a team. It couldn't happen without it. So I've enjoyed my time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still associated, but I'm sort of the second-tier guy now. The position taking over, Dr. Rames, very capable, very gifted guy, so you're going to be in good hands. But I'm still here if you need anything. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
What's,
Thank you.
what's the title of your big promotion?
I'm the medical director of the emergency department, which is about a 26-hour-a-day job.
Well, congratulations.
And you gotta stay in,
Yeah.
you gotta stay in scrubs to do that job?
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Thank you, Dr.
Thanks.
Brady. Noah, come down and talk to us about our new O&D agreement.
All right, so some background. I received Dr. Brady's resignation, basically 8/31. Reached out to staff, recommendations, et cetera. Dr. Raines was highly recommended. He currently serves as operational medical director for Culpeper EMS, Richardsville Volunteer Fire Department, Rescue Squad, and Salem Volunteer Fire Department. And he's also an emergency physician at UVA Culpeper Medical Center. He is requesting no compensation. He is requesting that the county covers his medical malpractice. I've been in communication with Mr. Wright. Also colleagues, VACORP currently already covers this, so there's no additional money for that. I worked with the Virginia Office of EMS to draft a medical director's agreement. That's been approved, initial draft by the Virginia Office of EMS before it comes to your decision to vote on. So they would approve if you decide to do so. And also Mr. Wright has reviewed it as well. So the medical director agreement's been drafted, and we're needing a go-live date of 9/1.
Kim, do you have anything to add? Anything to
Yeah,
add?
yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think the medical malpractice was a question of whether, so that's already included in our VACOR insurance provider, so it's not an upcharge. If there was, then it would have to meet the procurement of going out for advertisement. So essentially no compensation as previous, but also we are covered from that VACOR, so that's to Hannon's point, while there's not an RFP required.
Any questions for any of these three gentlemen?
Well, I've got one which could be, on the second page of the agreement, second paragraph of the second page, where it starts, the EMS agency. It says, the EMS agency agrees that during the term of this agreement, it will work with OMD to develop a comprehensive EMS plan. Should that probably say maintain? I mean, I'm sure we've already got a comprehensive EMS plan. Should that say maintain a comprehensive EMS plan instead of develop? I don't know. It could be, neither here nor there, but the next paragraph has develop, and then skip a paragraph, and then the other one says develop and implement a fair and equitable process by which complaints and disciplinary actions. I mean, I'm sure you've already got that stuff, right?
So your
all of that.
recommendation is
Just
to
change the word develop to maintain.
Maintain and/or update, or maintain. Maintains, I would agree.
I don't know. What do you think, Noah? Is that,
I support that. So this agreement came from the state.
yeah,
So we use that as a template.
yeah, it's,
I do agree that there's no really developing we're currently doing.
yeah,
So
you've got
maintaining-
all this stuff. I just wanted to make sure that the public is clear that we already have these things.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Vice Chair, if when I'm here, we'll just go through and change out anywhere, because it's listed several times,
It's
developed to maintain.
3 places I see.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Otherwise,
Other questions, comments? All right. What would y'all like to do?
yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the operational medical director agreement as presented with the small changes of changing the word develop to maintain.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Noah. All right. Boundary line adjustment and non-conforming lot review. Mr. Weekly?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Recently at the last Planning Commission meeting, or workshop, excuse me, there was a specific case that came up that involved a boundary line adjustment. Around that boundary line adjustment, there was also conversation about the lot that had the boundary line adjustment occur was an existing non-conforming lot. And by moving the boundary line for that particular parcel, it did not create a conforming lot, meaning you would go in A1, you'd take it to a 3 acre and so forth. So really, if anything that the board wishes for the planning commission to study, review, make a recommendation, normally the board of supervisors does that by voice vote to direct the planning commission. I put a little verbiage in the summary. I was reviewing this after the planning commission workshop. Really, there's language in there that talks about if you're going to move the boundary line adjustment, you should be looking at, improving the lot. You're going to take things into consideration of topography, different things like that. Staff right now, I believe, has administrative right, but we want to make sure that if the board, one, you're aware of the recent case, the level of discussion at the Planning Commission workshop, as well if you wish to have Planning Commission to look into this. Or some of you I know have served on the Planning Commission, you've been into these ordinances, if you have any thoughts. But it was a topic that came up as an administrator. It wasn't really clear to me, if the question is, should you be moving boundary lines to make it a conforming lot? So if there's more clarity, description, anyway, the governing body would like to see us to address boundary line adjustments as well as non-conforming lots when making boundary line adjustments. We are happy to take that input, or if you choose to give it to the Planning Commission study, at the end of the day, we're happy to take your input. If you wish to leave the Article 4, Section 4.4-5 as is, that's fine as well. But there seems to be not a lot of language as to conforming, non-conforming, but
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, currently, the subdivision ordinance clearly says that you can't create a lot that's non-conforming. But this had a wrinkle in it where there was already a non-conforming lot. They used a boundary adjustment, but the lot that was created by using the boundary adjustment was still a non-conforming lot. So the issue came up as, one already existed, granted, but I am of the opinion, I think if you're going to do something, you ought to create a conforming lot. So I think that I would like to see the Planning Commission take it up, because all of them are very aware. Y'all went through 2 workshops on this same situation, right, Jim? And they are intimately involved in this particular case that caused this discussion. So I think the Planning Commission should take it up and address both those things and come back to us with a recommendation. Is that a motion? Yeah. How about that?
All
That's
right,
a
there you go.
motion.
Motion and second. Now we're on to discussion. Who has things to say about this? Everybody good on this one?
Absolutely.
I agree. Let's pass this on to the planning commission and have them study it.
If you pass that along, then, or you gonna
Vote on the.
Yeah, we're gonna vote.
Yeah, we're
on
gonna
that.
vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. There you go. Good, that was easy. Anybody have anything else we need to discuss? All right, now Jonathan's gonna tell us about Brightspeed Broadband Project and how great they're doing. Go ahead.
Well, I wish I had that good news, Mr. Chairman. As you may recall, and I think the final MOU was executed between Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, we're more of a third party, but between them and Brightspeed. Let me take you a little bit back down history lane. The original VATI grant that the county applied for, can you bring up that chart, please, while I talk through this? Thank you. There were two areas that were RDOF challenged areas, which means they claim there's a service provider there. We can do the same thing. It does not need to be part of the Firefly project. And those two areas that were challenged was Etlin. We're still waiting because our VATI grant was not awarded this last time. We do have hope in the future. Yes. The other is that.
Chart? Put it on the last page.
Thank you. No, that's no worries. So the Wolftown Hood area is where Brightspeed had committed. The MOU that they agreed to and the performance metrics that you see in that chart, that was agreed upon between Brightspeed and Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, as well as understood by the Department of Housing and Community Development. DHCD is the state agency. They get state funding or the Fed funding, anything pouring into broadband, whether it's through ARPA funds or wherever, goes through them, and they have to ultimately approve it. You can see in the email summary above by David Blunt. He is I think he's the executive director or assistant director of Thomas Jefferson Planning District. We're getting a lot of, either we have to ask for reports, which they're required to give these to DHCD, or in their progress report, they simply state there's nothing to report. Well, it's nice if you had that luxury, but this chart indicates the performance completion schedule that, as it's called, a project Gantt chart for a reason. We have high concerns. Again, we're not in the driver's seat because this agreement, Greene, Campbell County, and Madison County are a third party to the agreement with Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission and DHCD and Brightspeed. I know that Mr. Blunt has had a conversation or inquiry into DHCD. I spoke to him Friday evening and encouraged him to give me a call before Tuesday's meeting if he had anything new. I have not heard from him, so I indicate he has not heard back from them. This project time deliverable for completion is December of 2024. I personally am not happy because, this is where I thought we would be. The other two counties said the same thing before this agreement was signed. We hope that maybe this is a course correction point in time for them, but I just wanted to report to you as well as the public. Kim and I have been receiving regular calls, a lot of it through the Firefly project, but particularly that Wolftown Hood area. The good news is Firefly is kind of overbuilding some of their territory, so there may be options in the future should they either, one, have their agreement torn up and voided by the state for non-performance. I do think there's an opportunity to try to roll that back in to an existing provider. So as far as the other, go back to that map you had up. As far as the other broadband overall, you can get to, I think, the project status from our website. So one, you can register your address, or yes, please click that. Or you can go and see where, if you are Decapolis or REC Pratt's or any of those other designated area, that's where you check availability, but go down to the bottom, Kim, I think they list where those are at. So you see the little chevrons above the Standardsville area. They are now, they're into fiber construction. REC Pratt's area, they're in make-ready engineering, so they'll be coming close to getting to construction. And then you have, well, it looks like they broke those out a little more. One time before it was all lumped together as REC Pratt, so as you can see, they are expanding their information. So that just allows you at any day and time you want to go and click on that project status, either the board or members of the public. You can see what we can see. I'm unfortunately in that Decapolis line, and I don't know when they'll come. They will be complete by August 2025. And then I know at some point we'll be discussing maybe some things with Firefly that will enhance this project moving forward. But so that's the overall broadband where we're at, but very disappointed with Brightspeed, and we hope that maybe next month's report looks different.
Holding your breath?
No, I like
No,
breathing
yeah, I
and
agree.
living.
We've got one company that's giving us an abundant amount of information to be transparent, taking state and federal dollars. And we've got another one that's not, and that is actually on a tighter timeline than the Firefly group, which is making better progress. Well, we keep leaning on them.
We do, far as the, I guess that would be 2024 VATI grant that would be coming up. Probably, I don't know if it'll come to you in September, but probably around October, we'll be coming with you, most likely with another joint application request to hopefully get that Atlanta area covered. So, again, that's all I have for broadband, specifically Brightspeed, but I'm happy to take any questions or provide your follow-up to either Thomas Jefferson Planning District or any others about that project.
So I just want to make sure I understand that chart right there is simply, that was what was supposed to happen. We don't have a chart that shows what has happened.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
nothing's happened.
Correct.
No chevrons.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to go back to David Blunt. You need to ask him what's going on here.
Yeah, I've emailed him and spoke to him personally on Friday to inform him our dissatisfaction with the overall process, and where I'm not contacting DHCD directly. I would if the agreement was with us, but if he could convey our feelings about this lack of performance. So,
Where's Brightspeed out of?
sir, I'm sorry, I'll have to follow up on that.
I
I know kind of this territory has been acquired, so Brightspeed purchased, I'm going to have this backwards, I believe from Lumens. Lumens had purchased CenturyLink, so you've had a couple transitions, and that was going on while the negotiations of the MOU was occurring. But they claimed, their infrastructure in the area, they can deploy broadband effectively, and they were going to meet this schedule. So I'll report back when I have more, but that's all I have on that project area.
So what's the CEO of CVEC? What's his
CVEC's Gary Wood.
Yeah, Gary
You
Wood.
can get him at any time.
Yeah, there you
He's
go.
been to a few of your meetings.
Yep. All right. Can't wait to hear what happens next month. Anybody have any comments on this? All right, back to public comment. Public comment. Nobody? All right, we're done with public comment. We do have a closed session. Thank you all for coming. Please.
Yeah, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A1 for personnel and 2.2-3711A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're probably gonna have action afterwards.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
So Gracie, did you look up where Brightspeed's from already?